This is Kelly Hill with RCR Wireless News. I'm here at Level 3 headquarters in Broomfield, Colorado, and we're talking with Paul Savill, who is Senior Vice President of Product Marketing for Level 3. Paul, I'm hoping that we can start off by talking a little bit about the impacts that Level 3 is seeing in terms of cloud and cloud services, cloud adoption, and how Level 3 is playing in that space.
Sure. So, I like to think about Level 3 playing in the cloud ecosystem really in kind of three levels. So, at its most base level, Level 3 is a big player in cloud because we provide much of the infrastructure that's required to support cloud services. Many of these enterprises and companies that are selling cloud services need data center space. They need dark fiber. They need base network connectivity. And so we play a role in that, and that many of our services in the globally distributed network that we have around the world helps to support those businesses. We also provide specialized data connectivity services to help enterprises connect to cloud services. So many companies really they can't use the public internet because of concerns around security or reliability or performance. So they're needing more and more of these types of secure private connections into these cloud service providers so that they can control their employee experience, make sure that they're not receiving any outside threats through the internet. And also because they want to distribute and you get a consistent experience across the globe wherever they need to consume cloud services. I mean, a great example is a multinational corporation that does business in Latin America, North America, and Europe. They don't want to have to cut specialized deals to buy a certain cloud service provider's service in each region of the world. With our services, we play a role in that. We can provide them that connectivity in all those locations to data centers across the world so that they can distribute their cloud applications and get the kind of performance that they need. And then lastly, that third level that I was speaking of, Level 3 actually sells cloud services ourselves. So Level 3 is one of the world's leaders in content delivery services. So we take content that people want to distribute through the internet or through private networks. We distribute it across the globe and get it as close as possible to the people that need to consume it. That improves the performance of the service and of the content that people want to see. And that's a cloud service. We also rolled out a video cloud service so that enterprises can more easily use video and integrate video in with their other communications capabilities. And so we sell that as a cloud service as well.
I also wanted to address SDN, software-defined networking, and network function virtualization, and get your take on, what's the status of that ecosystem, what's the potential that you see there, and also some of the hurdles that SDN or NFV have to get over in order to prove themselves as, as useful to the industry.
Sure. Yeah. So we view SDN and NFV as really two separate and distinct things, and both of them hold great promise for the industry, though, which is why so much attention is being put on it, I think. SDN is very important from the perspective of its promise of being able to manipulate the network on a real-time basis as events unfold or as new inputs come into us to tell us that we need to change something around. So, for instance, we've seen some applications already and some early deployments where companies are using time of day transitions to move network resources from one location to another based upon traffic loads on the network as following the sun techniques. We've also seen companies do something similar to that during unusual traffic events, network traffic events that happen. Big news events or big holiday events that happen where things need to be moved around on more of a real-time basis. So SDN has a great opportunity to help us in that. Now NFV comes at it from a totally different angle, but also has many benefits to us, largely from our capital investment standpoint. The NFV is all about taking the hardware and separating the software from the hardware and really getting that hardware cost down as low as possible, and really making the software something that you can download to that hardware when you need it to provision and help customers with new services. So for instance, at a company like Level 3, we could see a day when we're using NFV devices, putting them on a customer premise, and a customer decides that they want to buy something new from Level 3 or a totally new service, then we could just download the software to that device through the network to support that new service, as opposed to having to roll a truck and deploy some new box on site that's specialized for that service.
Okay, sounds like a lot of potential there. And what about hurdles that are still there in order to really bring this into wide use?
Yeah. So, the hurdles are the same that we face with every generation of technology that comes in. And it's largely around interoperability and integration. We've got, all of us have big embedded bases of equipment and software and control systems that are out there. The hardware vendors themselves have to get their head around kind of the role that they're going to play in this space, because, in the past, a hardware vendor that, say, an optical vendor that created a DWDM box or an ADM for us would have the software, the hardware, everything was packaged in one thing. Now there's the potential to separate that software from that hardware, and they've got to decide, what role are they going to play? Are they willing to just sell the software? Are they going to specialize on optimized hardware for it? Are they going to try to do both and then hope that people buy them both together from them? Or are they going to really focus on tying it all together with the control systems? And so a lot of the hurdles that we got to overcome is that process of those vendors kind of getting their heads around the role they're going to play and what they're going to offer and support in the industry. And then it's also on us trying to integrate all that and make it work with the existing infrastructure that we've got in place and the back office systems we have in place.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be a big challenge.
Yeah.
Another topic that I wanted to touch on, specifically in regards to telecom and wireless operators, we've seen a lot going on with LTE rollouts. There's been a lot of interest in small cell deployments and how we support those and enable those in order to really have the backhaul and transport that is needed in order to make that technology work. What are you seeing in terms of telecom needs, both at the macro level and specifically for small cells?
So, Level 3 has always played a role in supporting the mobile network operators in building out their infrastructure. We've built backbones for many of the MNOs. We have deployed a lot of capacity and a lot of network connectivity on a metro and a nationwide basis for these guys to tie their MITSOs together and their switching centers together. But as LTE rolls out and the small cell technology comes out, we are really seeing from them more and more requests for build-outs of their own private fiber networks. And we're also seeing more of these unusual requests that as they try to get their heads around small cell technology, how they can deploy to have networks that have a much smaller capillary type of architecture, going out to running down streets and attaching to light poles and stoplights and things like that they're trying to reach.
And there was one other topic that I wanted your input on, and that is 40G versus 100G, and kind of the evolution that you're seeing in terms of the move from 10 on up. So what are you seeing in that space in terms of what enterprises and other businesses out there are asking for?
Sure. 40G has been around for several years. So the industry, though, we never really saw a big uptick in 40G in terms of customers buying those types of services. And I think that the reason behind that was that the cost point for the crossover between a 10 gig and a 40G just never really reached the point where it made a lot of sense. It just made more sense for people and for us to buy 10 gigs because you could buy 14 gigs at roughly the same price as a 40 gig or maybe even better. And because 10 gig economics kept getting driven lower and lower. With 100 gig, we're seeing that point where that is crossing over now to make sense to buy 100 gig. And so Level 3, for instance, is now 100 gig capable across most of its North American network, across most of its subsea systems, and well into Europe as well, and all of our assets over there. And so we're seeing our customers also seeing those same kind of economics because we're getting more and more requests for 100 gig circuit connections. Last year it was a handful. It was research networks, largely governments that were buying that. But now we're seeing all enterprises across our range on a regular basis. We're getting in requests for 100 gig services. So I think that it'll really accelerate this year, and next year will be very commonplace.
Okay. Paul Savill, Senior Vice President of Product Management for Level 3.